Hello, and welcome once again to the Bilgecast Wrestling Podcast, coming to you on our new time slot of Sundays. I'm Ollie Johnson, here with Sam Congrave and Ian Burrows. How you doing, guys?
Ready to start the Sunday Night Wars, apparently.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I'm ready.
people don't really upload much on Sundays, but that's not why I chose to upload today. It's, because SmackDown's going to be moving to Fridays in the not-too-distant
A
future.
better digestion period, especially when you consider pay-per-views.
Yeah, and AEW's gonna have Wednesday nights. Our attention for Wednesday nights in the not too distant future. So
Yeah.
with that in mind, Raw and Smackdown, and why you were all right to not bother watching them. Well, no, to be fair, Raw had some quite good wrestling on it. I watched the shows yesterday, and I enjoyed that gauntlet match on Raw.
Oh yeah, yeah. When they pull out a gauntlet match, it's pretty good. It's always pretty good because
Yeah.
we actually get to see some action. Hey kids, remember wrestling?
And Rey Mysterio acquitted himself very well.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. And then
I mean,
Andrade came out and murdered him.
and pulled off his mask, and then they treat it like, oh, they pulled off his mask. That's the ultimate insult to a luchador. And then I'm sitting there going, Ray's had his mask pulled off multiple times. I mean, at one point there was that whole period in WCW where he wrestled without it.
Yeah, if you want to know what Rey looks like without his mask on, you can just Google it.
Or just look at your 12-year-old son's face.
Yeah. And, right, I suppose we've got to talk 24/7 title. Now,
Okay, so
I normally love what they do with the 24/7 title. I like R-Truth as champion and the whole back and forth with Drake Maverick he's got going. It is Drake Maverick,
right.
isn't it?
the thing is, I hate that they say the unpredictability is like it's the same thing every week. We know what's going to happen. I even predicted one of them almost down to a T.
No.
If but the thing is, it's been predictable for months. It's always between those two.
Now,
Though
I say this every week when it comes up. I do not understand this Kanellis thing.
oh god, we have to talk about the pregnant elephant in the room.
Yeah. I mean,
Very
pregnant champion. That is a perhaps for context sake, let's let people know what happened.
I should point out that Maria was actually taken to hospital 2 days ago.
Oh really?
Yeah, I think she is legitimately giving birth at this point.
Really?
Yeah,
Wait, so she's actually pregnant?
I think so. She was rushed to the emergency room a few days ago, so whether it's a very, very, very intricate angle, though granted that it has raised a lot of criticism.
I didn't think she was actually pregnant. I thought that was a work.
Well, even so, basically what happened was we had our little match with R-Truth and Drake Maverick, but then as soon as R-Truth won and my soul died a tiny bit, the actual 24/7 title thing actually came into effect. So therefore it's not really a 24/7 title because it took a few minutes to actually,
Yeah.
it's more like 23 and a couple of minutes title.
Yeah.
R-Truth then gets dogpiled on, and apparently not the person on top wins, but whoever crawls out of the pile of sweaty men
With the belt.
is the champion. And Mike Kanellis won, ran away and hid in a bathroom. Everyone chased after him and started their whole banging on the door trying to get him. Maria fakes labor pains and screams, "I'm pregnant!" And every single one of these mean killing men goes, "Oh wow, yeah, maybe we shouldn't bother with this. Let's put our mass murdering to get this belt on hold for a couple of minutes then, and leave us alone." And they just back away.
Yeah.
Then Maria screams that she's going to, if Mike doesn't let her in, she's going to kick him in the vagina.
Yeah, because being a woman is worse than being a man.
Yeah, then she goes into the room. Mike does his whole, "I won a title, I did this for you, baby." And then she's like, "Yeah, so, does the whole, get on your, lie on your back and I'm going to pin you because I want my unborn child's parents to be a champion." Basically, deciding that Mike isn't going to be isn't a parent apparently, takes the belt and decides that no one's going to try and pin her because she's pregnant, and they decided to drag fucking Braun Strowman into this.
Oh God.
Now, I am honestly at this point,
Now
I don't
I
think.
missed the Braun Strowman bit. What happened?
Basically, she's posing with the belt and being an asshole. Then Braun turns up. She goes, "Oh, you. What's the matter? You going to pin me for this?" And then she decides to shit all over men in general and say that men are terrible parents in general purely because they don't want to do any of the looking after of the child or anything. The women are the ones who do all the work and everything. And Braun can't just apparently cannot get hold of Maria and then slam her head against a wall and pin her. He just stands there looking angry at her and does nothing. And she walks off basically laughing to herself because no one can pin her because she's pregnant, basically. That was literally all it was. And then she got a load of clout on Twitter of people saying this is just a domestic abuse angle. And quite frankly, it's disgusting to watch. So this thing has gotten a lot of criticism. So at least we're not the only ones that look at this and go, it's not uncomfortable because we're men. It's uncomfortable because it's just a domestic abuse angle. And the last time they did this, it didn't end well for the company.
Now, domestic abuse angles are not inherently a terrible idea, and
Here's the thing.
I just don't trust WWE to do one tastefully, which
it isn't tasteful. The thing is, let's face it. Whenever it comes to these kind of things, I lump this in the same way I lump the raping of Lita.
Yeah.
Or the abortion angle they tried to do with Terry Runnels. All those things that are really uncomfortable, help nobody, and in the end, they're probably going to scrub from the network in the future anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see how that's meant to get anyone over. And
it doesn't get anyone over but Maria. But to be honest, I've fallen out of clout with Maria the last year or so, to be honest, because her attitude since rejoining WWE has kind of been a bit, well, I don't know whether she was playing a character or not, but she's not exactly, she's not really written into anything very well. I mean, she was calling people horrible for wanting the women's title back and not giving respect to the Divas title.
Yeah.
So again, why would you even do that? But moving on to greener pastures.
Yeah. It's just why the owner of any company would greenlight a storyline that does nothing except hurt one of his assets is just beyond me. Like, I said the same thing when, those segments to make Sami Zayn look like a dork and nothing else happened. It's like, that helps no one and it just hurts one of the assets of the company, and there's no reason to do that.
I just don't know.
Yeah. Ian, do you have any thoughts on this?
Not really. It's just WWE being WWE.
Unfortunately, yes.
That's the only thing you can really even say about this entire angle. Let's see what else even happened on Raw. I mean, let's see. The Street Profits just turned up and did stuff. The Viking Raiders continued to beat up jobbers again. The last time this happened, the Ascension got buried.
Yeah.
The Moment of Bliss. Let's see.
Now, I actually quite like the Alexa Bliss storyline with Becky Lynch and
Nikki Cross.
The name was on the tip of my tongue. Yeah.
Mojo Rawley came out and then refused to wrestle, so that happened. That happened as well.
I watched Raw and I don't remember that, so that's how much impact it had on me.
Yeah, Natalia's doing the whole. Well, Natalia's moved on to trying to murder Becky Lynch now. Speaking of murder, the only other two things that happened on Raw this week.
Oh yeah, Seth is dead.
Yeah, Seth was basically murdered by Brock.
He was coughing up blood.
I don't know. Maybe Seth sent a picture of his dick to Sable.
Oh, oh, Seth, you are incorrigible.
Oh, I'm sure she told Brock she was being flirty.
I don't really. Was that a recent thing you told me about? That
Yeah, that was a recent thing. Apparently, a particular former diva, WWE diva's husband, I believe it was Caitlyn, mentioned that Seth Rollins made a habit of sending nudes to her on a consistent basis. I don't know whether this is before or after he was sending nude pictures of his penis to other people who weren't his girlfriend. You know, the one thing that got him a WWE title shot.
okay, let's not have this devolve into gossip.
Ooh. But speaking of other murders in general, yeah, Brock Lesnar basically murdered Seth to the extent where I could hear his lungs coming out.
Yeah, he was
And of
coughing up
course,
blood. It was.
and Dolph Ziggler was being Dolph Ziggler, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Also, Roman and Joe brawled as well for a bit.
If Dolph Ziggler is going to be as over as he needs to be ever again, something's got to change. We've seen this Dolph Ziggler too many times. Something's got to change.
Honestly, nothing else happened on Raw, to be honest. The Gauntlet took up a lot of time.
Yeah, it was good.
Oh yeah, it was good.
Yeah, and
SmackDown's really where more things happened, to be perfectly frank.
Yeah. Oh, did we cover the OC winning the tag titles?
Oh god, yeah, the OC winning the tag team titles.
That was good. That was
awesome.
Yeah. I mean, you can it was probably because Jey Uso got arrested.
I will say that, but also
yeah. But look, still, it's a good thing. The club all have titles, just as the New Day all have titles. In fact, that would be a good cross-brand match to have.
I didn't know. Funny enough, Shinsuke Nakamura did post a picture on his Twitter of himself hanging out with the club and holding up his title belt with them and goes, "Look who I ran into backstage." And he's the Intercontinental Champion.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Shinsuke was in, I think, the main event on SmackDown, wasn't he?
Well, what I remember of SmackDown this week is the Iconics refused to wrestle because they were sick. So, another one of those things. Trish Stratus is coming out of retirement to wrestle Charlotte, apparently. Let's see. Shinsuke Nakamura wrestled Ali, yeah.
Yeah, that was good. I enjoyed that match. I like Ali and Shinsuke.
Kevin Owens is continuing his whole "I'm going to murder Shane McMahon and I am fully supporting him."
Yeah. No, God. I loved Kevin Owens' promo at the beginning when Shane said he wasn't going to be there. And he said, look, none of us planned for this, but somehow we'll get through this show without Shane McMahon.
Yeah, and then that's of course brought
It'll
out Drew
be okay.
But then, of course, this brought out Drew McIntyre, who really could be doing so much better at this point.
He really could.
Oh yeah, and I got reminded, because I keep forgetting every time, that Randy Orton is going to be wrestling Kofi Kingston.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, he's so forgettable.
There's only one way that match can go.
Yeah.
And also, Kofi's been looking bulletproof lately. He beat AJ Styles this week clean, and you know that's a good rub to get.
Also, we've been talking a lot of murder recently. Someone tried to murder Roman Reigns.
Ah yes, yeah, pushing the scaffolding on him.
I didn't notice someone put up a thing on my Twitter that just said, it's like, the person who tried to kill Roman Reigns revealed, and it's not Buddy Murphy. I was just laughing my ass off. Like, why would it be Buddy Murphy? Oh, if it makes you feel any better as well, Mike Kanellis is competing on 205 Live, where he's beating up Drake Maverick on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
Also, Breezango reformed in NXT. So that's kind of cool.
Sorry, repeat that.
Breezango reformed on NXT,
Oh, cool.
but they've gone completely to being cool.
Nice.
So Tyler Breeze left the main roster to go back to NXT and had a really good match with the Velveteen Dream, and this week Fandango came out to help Tyler Breeze fight off a tag team called the Forgotten Sons.
Ah,
So they've reformed.
that's good. I liked them. It's a shame that they weren't handled well on the main roster.
Well, on NXT, they're allowed to be a bit more free with what they do, I guess.
That's
I think we
good.
should also point out that this week we lost Harley Race.
I know, yeah, that is tragic.
The inventor of the diving headbutt.
Yeah.
It is a shame. It is a shame to lose another legend, especially like the day after the anniversary of Roddy Piper's passing.
Mm.
I don't know what to say, dude. This is
It's a bit of a low hanging fruit, really. But Trish Stratus coming out of retirement is an interesting one.
yeah, I am in favour of this. Trish was very good.
Well, Trish is okay. Trish is good. I mean, she's better than Mickie James.
Yeah.
Hands
Although
down.
Charlotte needs to win.
Obviously, Charlotte needs to win.
Yeah.
Because really, Charlotte's been doing nothing really ever since the whole,
WrestleMania.
being added. Yeah, the whole added to the main event that she really shouldn't have been part of to begin with.
I didn't have a problem with that. It ended the right way, albeit a bit anticlimactically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
But yeah, Charlotte needs to win because, well, she can do more with a win than Trish Stratus can, who I presume is only coming out of retirement
Trish is
for one match.
Trish is retired, so yeah, she gets nothing out of it.
I presume this is just like a one more match type deal, and she's not back full time.
Probably. I assume that's basically it.
Yeah, but yeah, I think this is basically a good thing.
Yeah. Also, Alexa Bliss defeated Ember Moon this week on SmackDown.
Oh yeah.
Then Bayley attacked Ember Moon after the match.
So Bayley's turning heel.
I don't know. Ember did attack her, did kind of turn on her and throw her in the ring the other week, and then hit her with a finisher.
Oh yeah.
So it's probably payback. Also, Finn Balor turned up again and wrestled Dolph Ziggler. But then the Fiend turned up.
I like this. Like, so far so good with this new Bray Wyatt gimmick.
They've been doing it. You know what? It reminds me of?
What?
WCW's handling of Crow Sting.
You know what? I didn't see WCW, but if it was anything like...
For context sake, Sting disappeared for a while.
Yeah.
And for an entire year, Sting appeared in, like, the rafters, doing nothing, because it was a whole NWO versus WCW thing. And he didn't do anything for a year. You didn't know whose side he was on, whether he was with WCW, with NWO. But he would turn up, he would appear in the ring sometimes and stare people down and just disappear for a while. He would only attack if he was attacked, first. But they kept the mystique of Sting because he never spoke for an entire year. He didn't wrestle. He didn't do a damn thing. He didn't wrestle until Starrcade 97, where he wrestled Hogan, who was the leader of the NWO at the time. And it reminds me of that, where they've kept him off of TV for so long to build the character. That's where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
They spent a year with letting Sting develop the right face paint, to develop the right look, everything that he needed to, then let him have his match at a pay-per-view. Also, can I just say that the stunner works better for Kevin Owens than the pop-up powerbomb ever did?
I don't know whether I'd agree with that, but I can see why you would say it.
I'd say it because it's a difficult match. The stunner really isn't that hard to pull off, and therefore, it's a good,
Yeah.
It's
It's
good
also
for a
less
good.
likely to injure. You gotta
It's
give
less
it that.
and it's the ultimate face finisher.
Yeah. Also, like, how great is Kevin Owens, whether he's face or heel? Like, he's
Oh yeah, Kevin. Look, this is Kevin Owens. I mean, if you've ever seen him in Ring of Honor, where he basically murdered El Generico on a regular basis.
yeah.
Oh, he murdered people constantly.
El Generico is Sami Zayn for
Although he
anyone
keeps,
listening who may
although
not
he
know.
denies it. Although he denies this, he claims Sammy's El Generico's some other random guy who lives in Mexico.
Well, yeah, but it's him.
Yes, it's the SJ Azazel and Murdust thing all over again.
Aha, so you admit that Murdust is SJ Azazel.
I do not.
Yes, you did.
I admit I think it's a similar argument that people make.
You heard
But
it
again,
here. It was confirmed.
It was not. SJ Azazel, I've already told you that SJ Azazel and Murdust are not the same person. And you've
They
even
are.
seen them in separate places. Like in the same place, both at the same time in the same place.
A decoy.
It's not a decoy, they're different people.
You already admitted to it.
I did not admit to it.
You
Right.
admitted it.
So-
Storyline over.
I
So-
simply alluded to the fact that Sami Zayn and El Generico are considered the same person, just like how you consider SJ Azazel and Murdust the same person, even though they are not. The difference is that while Sami Zayn is clearly El Generico, SJ Azazel is not.
Backtracking.
What?
You're backtracking.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
Besides which, we already explained that SJ Azazel wore the outfit to begin with, but it was never truly him when he wrestled.
Any excuse.
Oh yeah, sure. Why don't we just say that Imperial Dragon is clearly Jim Williams?
He could be.
He could be, yes. Hell, White Tiger could probably be Jim Williams.
Could be.
Could be.
This is a explain what this is a reference to, so that
Okay. Basically, me and Ian have this entire thing where we do commentary for our own wrestling promotions, and for a while I created a character called Murdust, and after retiring my SJ Azazel character to be a manager,
this is on like a 2K19 show. That you
on 2K19, and Ian is insistent that because I used SJ Azazel's body model at one point to make Murdust, mainly just so I could copy certain body parts over and certain moves over, because I honestly forgot the names. I've lost track of the names of a lot of moves anyway. So I did this, and then Ian continues this whole thing with me to say that Murdust is clearly SJ Azazel, so SJ Azazel hasn't truly retired, and he wants him to admit it and everything. The thing is, by that time, I'd already made Murdust into his own character, changed his face around, and made him a completely different, character in general. So that when we did do a thing where if he lost a match, he'd have to take off his face paint to reveal himself. And he did, and he looked nothing like SJ Azazel. Ian decided, it was a decoy. It was a fake. That's clearly not SJ Azazel. He lied. And this is just funny to us in general. It may not make sense to a lot of other people. But the entire thing is every time Murdust turns up, Ian goes, "You mean SJ Azazel?"
yeah.
It is SJ Azazel.
All right. So further thoughts on this week's wrestling?
Well, Raw had a lot more wrestling going on for it. I can't fault that, but I will say that
I liked the Kofi AJ match.
Oh yeah, the matches themselves were actually good this week. Though again, a lot of the angles, like the Roman Reigns thing, I know that they're instantly going to blame Joe for it. Joe's going to deny it, and then it's either going to be someone else who attacked Roman, or who we didn't expect, or it's going to have been Joe all along.
I think it will be Rikishi.
He did it for the Joe. He did it. What, so he'd murder his own family for it?
Well, it's shocking, isn't it? And therefore good.
Suspense for the sake of suspense. Where can they go wrong? So, yeah, that is literally all I have to say on the matter. Is that Raw was pretty damn good with its wrestling, but the angle that they had with Maria was very uncomfortable.
It is.
It doesn't benefit anybody. It just hurts everybody involved, especially Mike, who really, if this is the way you're going to re-debut him to television, as basically, I don't know whether they're going for the beta male joke, where they're going with this, I don't know. Because the only thing I can go for is either reaching or they're just being insensitive for fun.
Yeah. I don't get it myself. It is very uncomfortable, I agree.
Yeah. It's cringe for the sake of cringe, in my opinion.
I don't think it helps anyone.
Look, again, it's on the same level as the storylines for the whole Kane Lita storyline.
I don't think it's quite on that level, but
it's still. What I mean is they're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
For the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
The Kane Lita storyline was uncomfortable because you know for a fact she was basically raped and nobody did anything about it.
Yeah, and then married him.
Oh, and then they had a miscarriage on Raw.
Yeah, because...
And you see why this is uncomfortable for people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why it's uncomfortable. Also, the fact that, again, this entire storyline has been done before and was not very well received. I mean, if we have an entire thing now where she starts physically abusing him with a belt or something, then I know we're going to have gone too far.
Yeah.
Because, oh dear God, is this rock? Is it, to quote Gilbert Gottfried, dear fucking God, this is wrong.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, Vince McMahon's kind of a Neanderthal.
Oh, I know. That's why the Spot Monkeys stuff is going to have jokes to people who haven't, to certain wrestling promoters who don't understand wrestling outside of the 1980s.
And, well, that's the reputation Vince has. I don't know the man, but...
All I know of the man, really, is that he, at some point in the 90s, he realized, he apparently had a meeting with Mick Foley involved, and he mentioned that time may have passed him by when making characters, so he told Mick Foley, to, do his own thing. I mean, I've told you the story about how Razor Ramon came into existence, right?
Yeah.
Simply because it all worked simply because he had never seen Scarface.
Who hasn't seen Scarface?
When Scott Hall comes out with this basically acting like the character from Scarface, and he's like, "This is amazing. Where did he even come up with this personality and character?" And then he mentioned after it had debuted that it had come from Scarface, and he's like, "I've never seen the movie."
Huh.
God, it'd be like if Paul Bearer started acting like someone from The Godfather, and he'd never seen The Godfather at any point.
I don't think he's ever seen any movie.
I think Vince has seen some movies. I just think Vince, if rumor is to be believed, he hasn't taken a day off work since the 80s. Like 1980, just before WrestleMania 1 was the last time he took anything resembling a vacation.
Right.
Since then, he has worked constantly, and apparently according to Triple H in an interview, he said when they do go on holiday, like when they take vacations, when he takes his daughters and, Stephanie and Shane brings his kids and they all go away for a while to like a cabin or something, just a little holiday away, the kids are out playing and stuff and doing their thing, and Vince has got an office built into wherever he goes just so he can continue working.
Yeah, I have heard that.
Yeah, that's literally how Vince works. But in regards to everything else, if Dean Ambrose's interview is to be believed, Vince has basically, since the end of WCW, he's kept himself in a bubble and distanced himself away from everybody who works for him. And in the end, the only way to really get to him, Chris Jericho explained that the only way to really get to him would be to bypass everyone else just to get something done with him. Because if you ask creative, they will assume things for Vince on his behalf and say, no.
And I heard they're often wrong.
Yeah, they usually say, well, apparently Dean claims he pitched an idea to creative. They told him Vince wouldn't like that. And Chris Jericho said, if you really want to talk to Vince, what you need to do is get yourself a plane ticket, go to Stamford, Connecticut, get an appointment, go meet up with Vince and talk to him yourself. He did. He spoke to Vince, and Vince apparently liked the idea. So that's how distant he is from literally everybody. Recently, he made a whole thing referring to AEW as that blood and guts company.
Isn't that what he exclusively called ECW?
Yes, he referred... Basically, because of the chair shot thing, because basically, as I've said before, the AEW shows, and you've both seen some of the AEW shows anyway, they've been very high-octane action, to be perfectly frank. And they've gone pay-per-view level, like the stuff you'd say for pay-per-views. But again, this isn't what the show is going to be every week. So the whole Shawn Spears cracking Cody Rhodes' head open is not the norm. It's not going to be the thing every week. It's just the one-off.
I think the second show was a bit toned down from the first one for this reason. Like, you can't maintain that level of intensity perpetually. It's just not sustainable. You've got to slow down sometimes.
Well, yeah, I mean, I showed Liz the last little bit of the Jon Moxley match, and she was cringing, granted, because apparently, I'm guessing, my opinion on the Moxley match was that John basically, if you've ever heard the story about his Brock Lesnar match, about how he wanted to do something with Brock Lesnar at Mania, and Lesnar didn't actually want to do a damn thing. Right. Basically, the word was that Lesnar was basically lazy as all fuck, and didn't want to do any work at all, so whenever they suggested anything for the match to make it interesting, Brock didn't want to do it.
Right.
My guess is that entire match he had at AEW was literally, this is what will happen when people actually agree to do shit with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the match me and Brock could have had if Brock wasn't such a bitch.
Yeah.
But then, of course, he got murdered anyway by Kenny Omega, so, game on.
Swings and roundabouts.
Well, that's what they're leading up to at this point, because, we're already getting... They've already announced they're going to have a women's championship thing. I will say for AEW's thing, I did see how they brought Brandy Rhodes in, and Brandy had that match with Ali that was okay. Then Awesome Kong got involved, and then they brought the original Kong back.
Oh.
They brought Aja Kong. If you don't know who Aja Kong is, basically the first female wrestler to use the name Kong in anything, basically big Japanese woman.
Huh.
Like, she worked for WWE for all of 2 matches on Raw in the past, in the 90s, and then Vince, fired her. Or Vince released her because he just didn't see the point. Because I'm going to just throw the Gail Kim thing up there and just say that's
all right,
probably...
go ahead.
You know it anyway. But okay, fine, I'll say it. I was going to say that's probably the reason he didn't want to hire her, because he said he didn't think people would find Asian women attractive because he personally doesn't. Yeah. And the only way Gail Kim got hired by WWE is because Jim Ross had to show porn to literally prove that people found Asian women attractive. Because, again, Vince could not conceive of such a thing.
That's what I heard. Like, I cannot confirm this story.
I've heard it from multiple sources that this is what he does.
Right.
So my guess is also he didn't think that Aja Kong was attractive in any way, so that's probably why. but she turned up at AEW and stared down Awesome Kong.
Cool.
So we might get a big old, big woman match in the future at some point, a Kong versus Kong match.
Yeah.
Which would be awesome. Would be awesome in its own right.
It certainly would.
But yeah, he thinks AEW is going to be the blood and guts company, and Cody reacted to it because that's what Cody does. CM Punk was making comments that he doesn't like AEW because they do all their things through texts, and he doesn't really think that's a good way to do business. And Cody at the moment is convinced that CM Punk is probably just going to go back to WWE in future, and I'm thinking no, he won't.
Nah.
If Punk hated the way the company was when he left it, he's going to hate it even more now.
Yeah.
Because it's worse now than it ever was when he was there.
Well, I think he would see it that way.
Well, he would, because it is exactly the same as it was before. In fact, it's actually worse now. You can't tell me the Shane McMahon story is somehow better than anything that was going on with the John Laurinaitis crap.
No, I don't suppose it is.
You say what you want about John Laurinaitis. At least, he was going. Yes, he went over John Cena at one point with assistance, but other than that, he got his comeuppance.
Yeah.
We're still waiting on Shane to get that.
This is true.
So yeah, I'd say that
Kevin Owens will be the one to deliver us.
Oh yeah, well, Owens has stunned him so many times at this point. I just feel the people who are being hurt the most by this are literally everyone else on the roster.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone. Yeah, and from what I'm hearing, the wild card rule is just going to go away soon.
Good. It was ruining the show.
It was.
I think that's basically all we've got this week.
That is it. We got through it all, and Shane McMahon didn't ruin SmackDown this week. We got through it.
36 minutes and 41 seconds.
Wow.
Right.
Well, again, there really wasn't much to talk about this week on Raw.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I was really dispassionate about doing this week, but it's a streak worth keeping.
It is.
So,
I mean, apart from mentioning that The Undertaker now works for WWE for the rest of his life now.
Yeah, they literally own him.
Don't forget, you're here forever. Now, Mark, it is customary for me to give you the plague. I think you mean a plaque. Yes, the plaque. To crush whatever's left of your spirit. Don't forget, you're here forever. And also, they've mentioned that 2019 will be the last year that Sting ever wears the face paint, apparently.
Yeah.
Whether this means he's going to stop doing it for conventions and stuff, I don't know.
Uh-huh. Right. I think he'll wear it for conventions because it's Sting. The face paint is part of the...
Yeah, but where else is he going to wear it other than conventions? It's not like he's going to get in the ring and wrestle again.
Is that a hard no on that?
I don't know. Sting's been very, weird about the whole thing. He's always said, the only thing that's known about Sting is the nothing's for certain.
Yeah.
So to be honest, I don't see him doing another WWE match because for a fact he's not going to go over anyone else.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, they literally wouldn't let him go over anyone in WWE at any point apart from a tag team match in which he had with John Cena.
Yeah.
That was the only time he ever went over. Which is a shame, really.
I don't know. I'm anticipating an announcement that Sting will face The Undertaker in Saudi Arabia.
Oh, God, don't. Don't even jinx that.
I know. I'm sorry. That was a little uncalled for.
That ship has sailed.
Yeah. I wanted it years ago. I don't want it now. It's like...
I mean, I even saw that video of what would happen if Undertaker went to WCW. I saw the video WWE put out, which literally ended with Sting saying that he would have destroyed The Undertaker. Easy. Like everyone else going, oh, he would have been a big deal. He would have been the guy to end the NWO. Or he would have been the big player that would have actually made it so the NWO didn't become the powerhouse it became or something. And then the video literally ended with Sting in full face paint saying that he would have defeated The Undertaker easy.
Yeah.
Just ended his career right there in WCW.
And on that note, I think we'll leave you. Thanks for joining us for this podcast.
Indeed.
All of the places you can find us are on screen at the moment. Apart from Ollie Johnson on Twitch, where I am currently doing a journey through the Middle-earth games. So hopefully we'll see you for that, and we'll see you next time.
See you later.
Bye.